In this video, we talk about the core set for Star Wars X-Wing 2.0. This is the core set for the second edition of the line of this game. This is definitely going to be a controversial move from Fantasy Flight, the idea of opening a 2.0 line, because, well, on one hand, new players will be very excited. Hooray, I can start from the beginning. It's reasonable and possible to acquire everything that is legal to use in tournaments, all of the real stuff, so to speak. At the same time, older players that have been playing for a while, maybe grumbling because they have to spend money for the conversion kits. They could keep playing just with with the first edition, but then they cannot participate to tournaments or public events. So they have to spend money for the conversion kits or simply to buy new materials. There's nothing that makes everybody happy. But my job as a reviewer is to show you what is in this set, but not just from the point of view of the components. I don't do just component overviews. I'm also going to talk about gameplay. In particular, I'm going to give you a general overview of the main mechanics of the game, in case you're a new player. But the main mechanics are vastly unaltered. If you know the first edition, the second one is pretty much the same, with just different dials, different maneuvers, and one new maneuver that I don't remember from the previous sets. Or maybe my memory is failing me. But overall, you will see it's very similar to the first edition. Now, what you find in this set is all that you need to start playing. You find 3 models of ship, you find 2 TIE fighters, and an X-Wing. These models are really nice, very detailed, as you may remember from the first edition if you played that one. Each model comes also with a base in which you place a template representing the fire arc of the ship and the initiative number for that pilot. This is important. Each ship also is paired with a card giving you more information, also more variety, as the ship may work in different ways when paired with different commander cards. The card will tell you the unique abilities or limits or lack of special abilities of the pilot, and that you find in this box here in the center of the card. And then you have technical indications that have to do with the ship. You have the number of dice that the ship rolls in attack, number of dice the ship rolls when defending, the hull points when you take a damage that is reduced by 1, when that goes down to 0 or less, the ship goes kaboom, making a really loud noise in space and bursting into flame, because this is Star Wars. Things have to look and sound cool, not to be accurate. And then you have shield points. Those are reduced before the ship takes damage to the hull. And different ships have different stats. For example, the TIE fighters do not have any shields. The hits go to them and damage them right away. So players will fight different battles with the ships. As you can already see from the number of ships, which is the same number in previous core sets, this is technically a full game. You have everything that you need to play the game. Dice, counters, templates, cards, damage cards, everything. But you won't be playing for very long with this set before the game starts feeling samey. Yes, you change the pilot. Yes, you add other cards with different types of upgrades, but ultimately it is 1 X-Wing and 2 TIE fighters. So if you want to keep playing the game, you will probably want to add more ships. You will need to expand the sets. That is, well, this is technically a full game. It feels like an introduction to, invitation to X-Wing, rather, oh, this is the X-Wing game, and I'm gonna play it for a long time. Now, how does it work? At the beginning of each turn, each player takes a dial for each ship that they control. Each ship has a dial that represents the maneuvers that are possible to execute. You turn the dial until you place the maneuver that you want to execute next to that triangle there. White maneuvers are normal maneuvers. Red maneuvers are particularly stressful. After you take those, you become stressed. There's a counter to indicate that, and you cannot execute another red maneuver, or take special actions until you perform a blue maneuver. The blue maneuvers are rejuvenating maneuvers. So each player places a dial next to their ships once they have committed to the maneuver that they want the ship to execute. Then the maneuvers are executed, the movements are executed in ascending initiative order. Each pilot has an initiative number, say Lucas 5, there's 2, there's 4. So we start with the smallest number and we go up. Then after moving, each ship can take an action, and then after every ship moved and took an action, if they decide to take the action, fire, they start attacking each other, and combat is resolved in descending initiative order. So basically, low numbers move first and shoot last, as opposed to high initiative goes last, which places you in a better maneuver and you get to shoot first. So for example, this TIE fighter here committed to a 3 straight. So we look for the template that represents a 3 straight. We place it in front of the fighter, and we move the fighter to the other side of the template. This one committed to a 3 wide turn in that direction, and so we execute that too. Boom. And then our friend Luke committed to a 1 straight, which is this one here. Just for simplicity, we'll say that brings him there. Then again, in descending initiative order, players can fire at enemies that they have in their arc of fire. Suppose after movement, this is the position because it makes it a little cooler this way. So Luke goes to fire. We place the template, see if he can reach a target. He could reach either. Then, if you can reach the target, then yes, you can fire that at that target. And the distance will give you extra dice in attack if it's a short distance, or the target will receive extra dice in defense if you're firing at a long distance. Mid-distance, nothing happens. Also, I should mention, after moving, players can take an action with the pilot that just moved. The actions that can be taken are indicated on the card of the pilot, and you can get a token that will allow you to give a target lock, which makes it easier to hit the opponent. You may perform a barrel roll, which is a special lateral maneuver. You may take the symbol here, the focus symbol, that allows you to manipulate the dice that you roll. So again, you have different abilities, but the core idea is still, once you're in position to fire, you declare the attack, you get to roll a number of red dice as the attacker equal to the attack number of your ship, and the opponent gets to roll a number of defense dice equal to their defense. You roll, and then you may have blank results on the attack dice, you may have blank results, or you may have normal hits, you may have critical hits. And these focus symbols that may be turned into hits if you had acquired the focus symbol as your focus action for the turn. Then, so you will have a number of hits, you subtract the number of dodges that the opponent has. The opponent also, again, may roll dodges in defense, may roll blanks, or may roll focus symbols, which again may be turned into what you need, in this case dodges, by spending the, if you have the, where is it? If you have the focus symbol next to your ship because you took that action. For each hit that is inflicted and is not cancelled, the target player controlling the ship that was hit needs to draw a card from this deck. Regular hits, you take the card and you put it face down next to you, next to the card representing that ship. Basically, the card simply represents 1 hit point, the loss of 1 point. If you have a critical damage, then actually for each critical damage, you draw a card and you turn it face up and you do what it says, which, well, very often you will receive additional negative effects, as you can see if you pause the video. Now, and that's pretty much it. You continue until either you fulfill the requirements of the scenario or you simply destroy the fleet of the opponent. One thing that is new is a maneuver that I don't remember seeing before. It is a maneuver that here only Luke has, and it has this 90-degree turn, which is not really a 90-degree, it just represents a turn. Let's do it with the 3 because it's going to be cool this way with this 3 here. Basically, you take the 2 or the 3 that has the symbol here, which is a tight turn. Oh, and suppose you start like this. Oh, glorious. Now, you take that turn. Normally, you would end your movement here, which in this case would not allow to attack. But with that maneuver, after you move to the other side, you turn the ship by 90 degrees. That basically means that you will end up 180 degrees orientation from where you started. So you start here, you take the turn, which is 90 degrees, and then you turn it by further 90 degrees. Pretty neat, huh? Because now Luke is in the perfect position to attack the enemy. We saw this maneuver at the beginning of episode 8 of Star Wars as Poe Dameron performs exactly this maneuver. It looks like he's just pulling the handbrake and the starship. I can almost hear the screeching as the starship goes like this and shoots as it goes this. So now you can perform that glorious maneuver. To me, mechanically, this is the biggest difference that I've been able to spot between the previous editions and this one. I'm sure the dials are different in a lot of other small ways. I'm not a strong player of X-Wing. I like to play from time to time. I don't go to tournaments. I don't go to competition. So if they tweaked this by a little, by changing the angle or the length a little bit, or they added a slight maneuver, they changed the color of the maneuver, I frankly won't be able to tell. But that also means that in any case, the differences are probably not going to be macroscopic. Casual players may miss many of them, and I don't know, again, maybe even some of the older players. In general, when you have a second edition of a game, that is the idea. You may have sometimes small tweaks, sometimes it's a complete reimagining of the game. This is not the case. The ships look pretty much like they did before. The quality of the components is always high, but the mechanics, the general idea is pretty much the same. They may have tweaked things here and there, but this version seems to me vastly unaltered, very, very similar to the previous edition. And this is pretty much what I have to say then, because if you watch any of my previous videos for X-Wing or for the games that preceded X-Wing and that inspired it, like D&D Attack Wing or Wings of War, Wings of Glory, that are all based on similar ideas. I like all of these games. I like the general idea a lot. I like miniature war games. This is a miniature war game. It's a miniature war game in which a lot has been hardwired into the dials, so you do not have to worry with measurements, with tape measures. It's nice to have templates that make things so much cleaner, so much more intuitive and straightforward. The themes of all of these games from World War I and World War II, dogfights in Wings of War and Wings of Glory, Dungeons and Dragons, fighting dragons, Star Wars, these are all great. So in general, I really like all of these games. They're fun. They are intuitive. They can, since they're expandable, of course, you can get a little bit or a lot in the meta game. It's not like a collectible card game, which you don't know what you get. You can decide in advance which units you want to purchase and combine in a certain fleet. But it definitely can get to the meta game in which the designing of a fleet is 80% of the game, and as the game gets set up, oh, you get a sense of which side is most likely going to win. There's always that dark side, that dark shadow that looms over these expandable games so that the meta game may be stronger than the game. But in general, I really like the game, and so what I liked in the old versions of Star Wars X-Wing is definitely here too. It's a fun game, it is fast, it is quick, it is intuitive, it is exciting, it has a nice range of special actions and effects, which, however, at the same time do not feel overwhelming. It is great. Now, if you are a player of the first edition, should you upgrade to the second one? Is upgrade even the right word, since they don't seem to be vastly different? Should you update to the second edition? I have no idea. It's up to you entirely. In some cases, you know, maybe there's a game, the first edition really is weak and the second one is awesome. Say, oh my gosh, you have to try. If you have the old one and you don't mind not going to tournaments, I guess you can keep playing with that one. I don't see any problem with that. There isn't any structural catastrophic problem that the first edition had that this one fixes. If you're a new player, of course, try this game, and of course start from this one so you can expand it any way you want. Or maybe you go with the first one because, again, you don't want to go to tournaments, but you're probably going to save money by buying models from the first one. But definitely, if you've never played the game, try, because it's a fun, exciting, fast-paced, absolutely enjoyable miniature war game that appeals also to non-war gamer. So for new players, try the game in general, and this is definitely an excellent place to start. For older players, from players of the first edition, things a little tougher and controversial. I'm probably not gonna to stick around to see you all fighting in the comments of this video, of any other video, any other material about the 2.0 edition. I know there's going to be a lot of fighting, and I'm not going to be there for it. Have fun doing it. I respect all of your opinions and ideas. I'll have to end ambiguously by saying, if you think this is gonna be for you, well, by all means, please update to the 2.0 edition. Otherwise, don't do it. I know it doesn't mean much, but it's I know it's all that I feel that I can share with you in good conscience. It's a great game. You have to decide if the pluses and minuses of the 2.0 edition are worth for you.